Hello everybody, this is Juntas. Today we are taking a look at a Singer Barbarian. This is one of the most coolest and unique builds in the game. Mostly it's only used for PvP. That is mainly just due to the damage being quite low. This is currently only on Players 1 and it's in Act 5 on Hell difficulty. Obviously this is more of a PvP support build, but it can also do fairly okay in PvM. The unique thing about it is of course the visuals and the gear you're going to be using. So the build is centered around Warcry. This is a spell that basically just, you cry out and you do a lot of damage. It looks very cool and I love to use it. It requires quite a lot of mana and faster cast rate gear though, and that is where the gear part comes in. I will just scan quickly over the gear now, with more details coming later. The helm is especially unique. This one is pretty cool, and then we're also using a faster cast rate amulet. So yeah, it's pretty much a sorceress we are geared out as a barbarian. Anywho, there's many ways to kind of build it. You can also just go with this faster cast rate. You can also go with a whole 200%. You can also use a shield. There's definitely many ways to it, and the community doesn't really agree what is like the best one. If you say, oh well, 200% is better than 105% faster cast rate, you're just gonna get into heated arguments and people will never agree. For the demonstration of the video, however, I do like to show off 200%. I feel like that is coolest. Another thing I can also quickly tell here in the little introduction is the survival is off the charts. As you can see here, 7000 life. This build is obviously again geared towards PvP and you would be in a support role. So you're stunning mobs, right? You can see, let's try to find like a pack here, and I can kind of show it a little again if you didn't see the introduction or whatever. You can see how the mobs here get stunned, and that's basically what Warcry does. Stun length 10 seconds. It's amazing for crowd control. So in PvP situations you would be stunning opponents while your teammates helps you out killing. They would maybe try to get in a kill or something while you're just stunning them. It's definitely cool to see that a support build can work for PvP. I haven't really seen that in other classes. I guess maybe Necromancer or something like maybe has some support as well for PvP, but for PvM it actually also works pretty well to support a 5-man party or whatever. Just being able to crowd control this well is very nice, and also just to tank, because again, you're pretty much immortal with this much life. It's ridiculously high. However, it is physical damage that we're doing with Warcry, but you don't really leech well. So having a ring like this one here with the mana and life leech is not really gonna do much. So that is why again we're using caster gear, not that much melee gear. The damage is just too low to really do anything properly. So we are kind of relying on just stunning and surviving with a lot of health. I got a bit of a cold going on right now, so if I'm coughing a little bit, I'm sorry for that. I will try to edit that out. Anywho, that's pretty much it for the introduction of this build here. It's very cool and I love the style points. It's definitely one of the most flashy builds in Diablo 2. But I will agree that it's also one of the weakest. You're really just not able to do a lot of damage. And my damage is already through the roof. Most guys I found on the internet only had like 1.6k damage. Due to my insane gear, I have almost 2000. So even with my gear level, it's not really able to do much damage. But still, it's very cool and it's very unique build. So I wanted to start off with the gear. We are going to be looking at stash items first. So the gear that I'm currently using right now is 105% faster cast rate. So 20 from the belt, 80 from the two weapons dual wield, and then 20 from the amulet. That gives me 120 or 105, which is the break point. But in order to get 200% we would have to use a diadem like this one. It has a crazy amount of mana, sapphire perfect ones, and like 70-80 mana on the roll, very nice. Then I also would have to use wizard spike. These have a dual like this one or this one, kinda depends what you kinda like. This is just, me showing the optimal duels for the wizard spike. And then you would also have to use rings like these ones here. Dexterity and strength is kinda good, it's not really a big need. However, I do prioritize getting a lot of mana from the rings. All resistance can also be pretty nice. I talked briefly about the mana from the helm here. This build here requires an extensive amount of mana. Of course we are already using an insight, but even then it's barely enough to keep up in a heated situation. Spamming Warcry all the time, constantly, it just drains your mana that much. So that's why I'm using stuff like Frostburns, I'm using these Storm of Jordan rings, a rock build, etc. Just trying to get as much mana as possible. Cause seriously, I'm not a fan of using an Insight. I much rather have used like an Infinity or maybe a Reaver's Toggle or something like that. But this is the most mana intensive build in Diablo 2, maybe next to like a 200% faster cast rate Nova Sorceress or something. And maybe even this one is more mana than that one, or a Hammer Paladin, just to mention two builds that also uses a lot of mana. So yeah, the rolls on the rings, the rolls on the helms, the weird duels and everything, they have to be centered around getting mana. It's just too important. So yeah, I think that pretty much rounds up the stats attempts. Of course, you can also keep stuff like Sandstorms, Shadow Dancers, you can keep weird Triwest boots, you can keep different here one with another duel in it, some other setups, but it's not really that important. Most important part is just getting either 200% faster cast rate or 105%. And so with the stats attempts out of the way, let's move on with the actual gear. So again, Frostburns is just too important. If you don't like Frostburns, you rather have some sort of a regen or more faster cast rate, you could just go with a Mage Feast. Using Mage Feast in my case would also then mean that I wouldn't have to use this amulet here with faster cast rate on it. You could maybe change out the build. There's a few options here, but I use Frostburns here just again for the amount of mana that I'm getting from it. You can just quickly see now, this is so much mana. And then for the rings, we're using two Stone of Jordans. Pretty simple. They give a lot of damage and they give mana, which is just so important. So I wouldn't really consider anything else for the 105% faster cast rate setup. And the rock build is the same as the rings, just great damage, great mana. And then we come to a fun little part, the boots here. So these boots are exactly like the ones I have on live server pretty much. These are just mana boots, pretty simple. A lot of people would maybe not be able to get quite as good stats, but mana boots are just so good. Also because, I can just mention them really fast here, because of natural resistance, we don't really need Triwest boots. We would also not really get much out of Elder's boots, Sandstorm Treks, etc. So mana boots are just really good on this particular case here, where we need all the mana that we can get. And again, I can just show the mana difference. And then an Enigma in a Mage Blade just for the better strength requirements, that's pretty important. Dual wield Herd of Oak is also just the best option for kind of getting resistance, getting mana, all these kind of good stats. And then the Helm is so, it's so weird, this one. But I will try to kind of go over it now. So, pre-buff gear in Diablo 2, right? This is basically just a pre-buff helm, but with 2 sockets, and that's about it. Also some life, but it's pretty unique. I can try to also show the other helm that I had quickly in the stash here. So this one just has different jewels in them, these ones here. But the cool thing about this bow helm here, as they're called, it can be pretty inexpensive if you don't have sockets in them. So a normal bow helm, I can just throw one up on the screen now, pretty much costs nothing. It just gets very expensive once it has life and 2 sockets in it. So it kind of depends on the budget, but you can easily roll with this build with no sockets in the helm itself and save a lot. That's definitely an option. And on Switch I'm rocking a Rift and a Storm Shield. This is due to being able to kill physical immunities. Now again, Warcry damage is physical damage, but we are gonna be facing, physical immunes without Reaper's Tall, Mercenary or anything. So I kind of had to come out of the way to kill physical immunities, and this was the best way that I found. So we are just doing, auto attacks, but at least we are able to proc frozen orbs, we're doing some elemental damage, etc. And in the Monarch itself, I just threw in an Eld Rune for higher block chance. So we at least get 32% chance to block. It helps a little bit when we're just hacking away slowly. But yes, the setup here with the Storm Shield and Rift works pretty well on physical immunities. So that was the best solution that I found for it. Because again, I really cannot do this build without the Inside Mercenary, just because of the insane mana requirements. But Rift is pretty fun as well to have on Switch, so that's pretty cool, makes it a bit more unique. And then for the inventory, I'm using some faster hit recovery grand charms. Since we're getting, you know, so many hits, we're gonna be so close up against mobs, you kinda just want a decent amount of faster hit recovery, so you get that through some grand charms, and then just some war cries for life, and then small charms just with life and mana. Very important to get these ones as well. I can just lift one here, you can see just how much mana I'm getting just from 15 mana here. It's a big boost getting these ones here. Definitely prioritize the small charms. Maybe not so important with the grand charms, but these ones definitely helps. And then an Anelios and a torch. That's pretty much it for the gear. And so let's take a look at the skills. We're starting up with leap here. You could also consider leap attack just to kinda make it a little more styled. You could also go with something like double swing, you could get bash, that would be an idea. I see people even using berserk. This would be pretty good on physical immunes, that would definitely be an option. I just felt that going far into the combat tree wasn't really my taste, so I just only went with leap. It's kinda up to yourself. I see some people maybe even going with frenzy, and that would be an option as well if you don't have, you know, a lot of faster cast rate gear or anything like that. There are ways to kinda do this one, but I wanted to just roll with only leap. And since we don't have to worry about attack rating, we're not really gonna benefit from any of the masteries, and then just 1 point into the rest of the skills. Pretty simple. And for the Warcry skills, we're just going with maxing all the synergies. We are even able to get at level 99, you know, you're even able to max out all the synergies. If you're only stopping at like 85, that can be a bit hard to get the last few. And I think a few remaining points into, I want to say battle orders or something like that, I can't quite remember. And then I also just went with find potion, find item, and grimoire. It's not really that important, but it can be a bit fun to kind of have those builds. That's pretty much it for the skills. It's kind of fun to see this much plus killers on a barbarian build. It's a bit different from a normal traditional one. So 49 into battle orders. I mean, this is like actually pretty good for support. You know, a lot of people are making buff barbarians just to kind of, you know, be a slave in a 8-man party or whatever to buff up your group. You can pretty much do the same thing here perfectly fine, just doing a Warcry. So it's very good to support your, you know, your teammates in a larger party or whatever. And so let's cover the stats. I wanted to start off with a little forum post here that explains some things pretty well. So kind of just pause the video now and read it, because it's kind of, it's good info, you know. A lot of people could probably already know about this one, but I think this is a pretty valuable information, so just pause the video now and read it. So the stats are pretty simple, just enough strain to wear your Monarch and Switch if you choose to go with that. A lot of people also like to use say a Wizard Spike or Herd of Oak plus a Storm Shield on their main weapon. That's definitely an option to, you know, be more tanky, more PvP, whatever. You're gonna lose out, you know, some damage, some stats, whatever. But it's a lot of options kinda for, you know, shield variation, but just get enough strain to wear Monarch. That's kind of the main goal of that one. Dexterity is kind of pointless if I'm only having, you know, max, if I'm only blocking with a Switch, so I choose not to go with any dexterity. And then restful points into vitality for that massive amount of life, 2,800 before any buffs. It's so amazing. And since we have so much resistance from dual wield Herd of Oak, or even just like the Wizard Spike, or even just you know, the Storm Shield one here, just quickly show the difference here. This is with Herd of Oak and Storm Shield. We are easily able to cap the resistance. It is just so nice to see resistance not being a problem, which again then means I don't have to worry about getting resistance from, you know, rings, boots, whatever. It's very nice to cap resistance. It also just makes you feel like such a tank. You're just immortal with these stats here. So it's pretty fun stats. The defense could be a little higher, I suppose, but you're gonna have to live with it. So time for some gameplay on Players 4. It's not that high, but it's also just kinda, you know, to not really make the showcase of the build that slow. You just buff up and that's pretty much it. In terms of keybinds, you pretty much only have a, you know, teleport and leap. It's very simple. You can of course go for something like find potion, also utilize battle cry, and taunt, but yeah, it's kinda pointless. So let's move on. Try to find a good pack here. So just notice the survival. Again, I don't really leech, because again I can't really leech, but it's very good. For me at least, I find this to be excellent. And then you kind of just wanna, you know, jump a little around and teleport. And now imagine somebody supporting you through, yeah, his own damage. It would be very effective. Obviously, I am not gonna say this is a good performance in terms of my own damage. It is very slow damage. You can just see like this Soul here, it's barely going down. Maybe this Black Soul here, you can notice the health now, it's barely moving. But I'm completely locking down this group here. It doesn't matter if it's Souls or anything, I'm just able to crowd control them completely. And it's very satisfying, but yes, the damage, it's so low. It's not even fun to look at. I mean, this is... Another thing you should probably also look at now is the mana regen. I was actually going low, like I had 400 mana left. So even with Insight and all this mana gear here, the mana issues are pretty bad. It's yeah, it's a bit of a problem. So I think we can try to find a really big pack now. Maybe pull an entire room. Okay, that's pretty big room here. Again, it is on players 4, so it does hurt a little bit. Anywho, let's try then. Try to lock down them all. And then just kind of just switch between yeah, teleport and Warcry. It's very simple to play at least. It plays exactly like the 200% the fast cast rate Nova Sorceress really. Another thing is also, yeah, the Inside Mercenary is doing quite a decent job of killing the stunned mobs. But it's not really, you know, a lot of damage using an Insight. Still, it's okay. That was just that, you know, the entire room just locked down. So many lightning bolts everywhere on the screen now. I mean, it does go down pretty fast, it's okay. It's not the worst damage. Then I also wanted to do a little bit in Chaos Sanctuary. Just gonna hop the seals, you can kind of see the action for that. Pretty decent, you know, faster cast rate at this high amount, nice mana, good survival. It's definitely able to do Chaos runs, hopping seals very efficiently. Lord Disease should be pretty painful. Let's try to do a really nasty pack here, get all the things, really push it now. Okay, I'm even cursed now, this should be pretty painful. Let's see if I can maybe do this one, this is definitely pushing the survival. I'm gonna drink a few potions just to be safe. Again, it's still on players 4 as well. The Lord Disease can't be stunned apparently, I guess. It's maybe not for as long as the normal ones. Man, it starts to hurt. It's hard to keep stun locks up. Just gonna drink my last few potions now. This pull is pretty big. But as you can see, the survival is through the roof. I mean, if I'm just playing focused and doing it correctly, I can really crowd control a crazy ton of amount of mobs here. It's very cool to see. Let's nuke this one down. Yeah, the elite is down. So now it's pretty much just Lord Disease left. Let's try to go for that guy now. Just after this one here. Okay, try some boss damage here, I guess you could say. So it's even enchanted with stone skin. Shouldn't matter much, I guess. It's maybe some physical resistance. I have to drink mana potion as well now. The combat was too long. At least my mercenary haven't died yet, that's nice. But again, you have to imagine this one in a group setting. Obviously, this is not really good for solo. But if you had just like 1 or 2 damage dealers, like, yeah, you know, a Hammer Paladin or a Javason or something, this would have been amazing. You just going in there, taking all the damage, and they can just, yeah, go in and reap all the kills easily. Or even just like a single faster cast rate Nova Sorceress. Man, that would also own. Anywho, Infector Souls dies pretty fast as well. I think the Mercenary assisted me too. But let's try out here on Diablo, just for the fun of it. It's not really gonna be super fast. Mostly it's also just gonna be the Mercenary. Oh, just a little. I went and killed my Mercenary because I think that would be best for showing the single target boss damage. So it's not really the Mercenary doing the part of the damage. Anywho. Yeah, just fun to see. Doesn't really matter. I have 7,000 life. Try and kill me. You can't. Anywho, let's go for this one. As you can see, the stun doesn't really work against bosses, but it's okay. I mean, I'm still able to tank. But yeah. I'm already out of mana now without Inside Mercenary. So this pretty much rounds up that test of the damage now. Honestly, it's just already had to spend all the potions now. I had a full inventory. But yes, the damage is not really great against bosses. It wasn't great from the beginning, but it really shows now. Can just try to maybe burn the last bit of mana I can buffer now. But yeah, you can see I'm not even down to like the first, you know, the first letter or whatever. So yeah, it's a little too slow. But that's pretty much it. All I kind of wanted to show from the Singer Barb. Obviously, this is more like a fun PvM build. It's not really something to be taken seriously. However, it can be really good in a party scenario where you are supporting, you say, 4 or 5 other people or whatever. But I feel like support is not even needed. At least on a certain gear level. Like if you're doing, you know, untwinged, you're rushing through ladder with no gear, whatever, this build would be pretty freaking handy. I would say it's one of the better ones. So, you know, untwinged just begin because you have, you know, high amount of battle orders, you got your stuns, etc. But once your party reaches a certain gear level or whatever, it's not really needed. You know, you don't really need support at a high gear level in Diablo 2. It's kind of just a waste. I'd rather just get more damage. Because, you know, higher damage is always key in RPGs. We saw the same thing like Diablo 3 where, sure, some support, stacking up the mobs, getting crowd control a little bit, of course very good in like certain scenarios, but it's really just all about damage. So support doesn't really have, you know, for endgame it doesn't really have a point. But for PvP especially and low geared PvM parties, this would be very good to have. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So thank you so much for watching and have a good one.